What is happening, everybody? Josh here from Spawn Fly Fish, and we are jumping into jigs. So today we are going to be tying up a jig. Coho is right here right now, so we're going to be getting after it, and this is a really fun one to tie that'll bring you a lot of success. You can tie these in countless colors, but we're going to jump into it. Alright, so we have a 90-degree hook here from Owner, and then we have our Spawn Super Bead in metallic gray. This is a really cool color of bead that isn't as widely used as we think it should be, so if you haven't picked one of these up, be sure to do so. Alright, so what we're going to do first here is we're going to lock that bead into place with some lead-free wire. And for those of you that are going to be tying this on a poured jig, all of this is the same. You'll just skip this first step. So we really want to get those people that are fishing conventional tackle tying jigs, and we are going to get you doing so. Alright, so now we're going to start laying down our thread wraps here. Trim off that tag end, and we'll work those lead-free wraps into place, not going anywhere. Keep that bead secure. And then we're going to work our way back just to where before the bend of the hook here. So there's two ways you can do this. We're going to be using a Spawn Polliwog tail, but the substitute here would be a Magnum rabbit strip or a Zonker rabbit strip. So we want about the same length of the hook to protrude off the back, and this stays true for the rabbit as well. I'm going to turn the vise over and tie that down, keeping it on the bottom of the hook shank, like so. Alrighty, step one is complete. So our next element here, we're going to add a little bit of flash, and this is the lateral scale in 1/69 inch. It's the really thin stuff. The stuff is great, has a lot of reflective properties, and really adds a great element. So we're going to tie this on the underneath side, so it's going to follow that tail down as that tail drops in the current, and we're going to wrap that back around. We have quite a bit here, and we'll trim off some of this extra. Trimming down like this, not straight, so we have a little bit of variation in our length there on those lateral scale pieces. Alrighty, so now we are going to take some chenille, and we're just going to tie in a few wraps. And then we're going to take a schlappen feather. We want some of these longer fibers, we want some movement in these, so we're going to kind of subtract that first about 1.5 inches of this feather. We don't want that. We want some longer fibers here that are really going to stick out. Give us some really good movement. Alright, we're going to wrap back over that and really secure that down. Sweet. Alrighty, so we got the foundation set here for the midsection of this jig, and you can tie all of these in different sizes to meet your either fly fishing or conventional fishing needs. Alright, so we're going to wrap the chenille, bringing it forward, touching wraps here, right to about where we have that lead-free wire. There we go. Alrighty. Not looking like much yet, but this thing is going to come to life. Alrighty, I'll bring that back. secure it. Let's see if I can get this feather to cooperate. We're going in between these wraps of chenille here. And kind of guiding those fibers as they're going to flow backwards along that jig. We used a medium chenille, so these wraps are about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little under that apart spacing wise. Alrighty, we'll sneak one more on top and we'll finish right there. So far, so good. Add some thread wraps here, clean it up just a little bit. So as we move on to our next elements, I'm going to re-straighten that out just a tad. Hopefully you can still see it really nice and clear. Alright, so foundation set for this jig. So what you could do here is you could just call it, but we are going to take this to another level. And with that, in jigs and in coho flies, it's always fun to sneak in some more feathers. And huge fan of these next two products, and implementing them into your jigs and your flies for salmon and steelhead will help bring you success on the water. So we got some fluorescent Chartreuse Ostrich here. So we're going to throw this right down on top. And we want the fibers to go a little bit less than the Polliwog tail or that rabbit strip that you have coming off the back. Keep those separated. Just a couple wraps in between, a couple wraps in front, and then I'll trim off these tag ends so then I can really get a clean finish here. And wrap that down. Intermittently while you're tying the jig, it's always a good idea to take a peek, make sure that it looks good on all sides, especially when you're tying on camera and you can't see what you see. Alrighty, last element of this jig, we are going to take an extra select fluorescent blue feather from Hareline, and we are going to collar this jig. This has some of my favorite colors for these fish involved in this jig pattern. Alrighty. Sweet, looking good. Guiding those fibers back as we wrap. We want to get this pretty close to the bead here. I like to have a pretty fluid transition from the bead to the materials. I don't think it's as necessary, but I sure like it, and the fish seem to like it too. Alrighty. We'll tuck that just up on the surface here, and we'll get those thread wraps. Staying close to the bead. Let that bead guide those thread wraps. Trim off the tag end. I'm going to turn it so I can see it, because we got a little bit mess on this side of it, but we will clean this up and keep this looking really nice. Yahtzee. Alrighty guys, that is it. We are going to whip finish this guy. We're going to add some head cement and go catch some fish. This brings together a lot of elements that are used in jig tying, puts them all smack dab on one phenomenal jig. So, if you're fishing conventionally, you want to start tying, follow along with these videos. We'll be adding more tying videos to cater to those tyers that are coming in here in the shop and are fishing locally as well as around the world using jigs. And also note that all of these jig patterns can be replicated in flies. So you can downsize all of this and create a really cool fly for your local waters. And vice versa. If you see a fly out there, you can likely turn it into a jig style pattern. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, hitting it with the UV light. As always, be sure to hit like, be sure to hit subscribe, and go out, tie some jigs, tie some flies, and catch some fish.